Hey, Trojan fans, I'm Ryan Abraham, publisher of USCFootball.com. Just want to let you know we're not going to do a live tunnel vision. Oh, God, it's Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to everyone out there. Today's May 8th, Sunday. And we'll be back next week doing our regular shows. Hopefully some more updates as far as USC recruiting players out of the NCAA Transfer Portal. But I wanted to give you an update on what's been going on with the official visitors on campus recently for the Transfer Portal. Give a little rant about the Jordan Addison accusations of tampering and multi-million-dollar payouts and all of that. First, just thank you for watching this one, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel at Inside Troy. We got tons of content going up there, and over at USCFootball.com, way more content going up there. For $1 a month, you can be a subscriber 365 days a year, 24 hours a day. You can check out what's going on at the Peristyle, our premium message board, and all the content that we're putting up on the front page. So be a member of the Peristyle family. We'd appreciate that. And like I said, it's only $1 a month. You'll be the smartest USC fan, the most informed USC fan at the water cooler in the office for those of you guys that still go into the office. Okay, so I wanted to give you an update on what's going on transfer portal-wise. Things are kind of slowed down. Obviously, spring football ended. May 1st was the deadline for entering the transfer portal, so players had to have their name in the portal by the beginning of May if they wanted to be eligible to play in 2022. Not as many players jumped into the portal after spring football and before the deadline that we thought. So I think Lincoln Riley talked about bringing in double-digit players. I'm not sure if he's going to do that because there seems to be a lot more depth guys than really players that could be potential starters in the portal right now. But USC did have 4 official visitors from the transfer portal, other schools, a couple Pac-12 schools, a JC guy, and a former Oklahoma player. Those are the 4 guys we know that were on official visits this weekend. So I want to kind of give you an update on what's going on with those guys. But where USC is now, we still feel like they have 6, 7 more rides to give out. And if any more players leave from the transfer portal, that would open up some more spots. Bryson Shaw, the safety from Ohio State, is already in, and Eric Gentry, the freshman All-American linebacker from Arizona State, they're in. Jordan Addison, who I mentioned, he's in the transfer portal. USC would love to get him as far as, the former Bolitnikoff Award winner from last season. That would be a big get. The only major award-winning, college football award-winning player that has entered the portal that we know of. So that's a pretty big deal if the Trojans could land him. But I want to go over some of the guys that were on campus this weekend. So one of the positions of need is cornerback, as you know. So Washington cornerback Jacoby Covington, class of 2020. He was on an official visit this weekend. So if you remember, Washington's defensive back group was really strong. They had some guys drafted in the NFL, one of the best secondaries in the country, certainly in the Pac-12. So Covington didn't get as much run this year, but they really felt that he was going to play a big role this season. He goes into the transfer portal. It's a position of need, certainly someone that USC is going to be looking at, and it would be, another Pac-12 player, potential starter from one Pac-12 school coming to USC and playing there. But USC is really thin at corner, so I think going there, getting a guy like Covington would be a big deal for the Trojans. Another position of need, offensive line. So this is in the JC transfer ranks. So Butler Community College, offensive lineman Cooper Lovelace. The Trojans already brought in Bobby Haskins from the University of Virginia. We didn't get to see him at all this spring because of, he was injured. So we'll see that, but they got some experience back at the offensive line spot. But Cooper Lovelace is someone that a lot of the big schools have been on. There's not that many offensive line players that are in the transfer portal right now. So a lot of people talk about, hey, I got to go to find a left tackle. There's just not that many of them in the portal. So Lovelace is someone that could come in and provide some depth on that offensive line. I think they wanted to bring in 2 offensive line transfers if possible. He could be the second one. So he was on official visit this weekend to USC. Another position of need, trying to bring in some linebackers. This one's really interesting. So Carson Tabarici, so he's at the University of Utah. He's from the Utah area. He just enrolled in the spring. So he was part of the Utah program for spring football. Hasn't played a game yet, obviously. He's already in the transfer portal. So class of 2022, the Utes lost a lot of linebacker depth and star linebackers. Devin Lloyd, defensive player of the year for the Pac-12, first-round draft pick. So they needed some production back from linebacker spot, and he was a highly ranked player, local kid, and people thought that he would have a big role for the Utes in this coming season and the seasons to come. He's already in the transfer portal, so that would be another Pac-12 get for Lincoln Riley if he was able to land him. So we'll see, but certainly position of need. And the last one, not necessarily position of need because USC already brought in 3 wide receivers, and we mentioned Jordan Addison, but Cody Jackson, the wide receiver from the University of Oklahoma, he's a class of 2021 player. Didn't do a whole lot last year, but he could potentially reunite with Caleb Williams and Mario Williams and Lincoln Riley, and all the assistant coaches that came over from Oklahoma. So those are the 4 guys that we know of that were on campus this weekend. And they wrapped up their official visits sometime this morning. Usually they go fly out, and then we'll kind of get some reports on how those visits went going forward. So those are guys we know, and there'll be more official visitors coming up in the coming weeks. But I wanted to kind of end this, and probably take me a minute or two, talking about I'll put his picture up, Jordan Addison, the Biletnikoff winning wide receiver from the University of Pittsburgh. It broke that he was going to enter the transfer portal. There was all this accusations about tampering and multi-million-dollar payouts and all of that. And I just want to kind of give a little rant on this. I've talked about it on some podcasts and stuff, but I keep seeing things in the media about this. If you know me, I've been covering the team since 1996. I'm not really known as a homer per se. I know some USC fans want me to jump on the bandwagon. I try to be objective as far as what's going on. If I think they're going to be good, I tell you they're going to be good. If they think they're going to be bad, I'll tell you they'll be bad. What I'm seeing about the reporting about Jordan Addison and USC just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So that's kind of why I'm going on this rant. Couple different aspects to this. If you want to talk about the tampering aspect, there's really no need for USC to go out and tamper to get a guy like Jordan Addison. Now, why is that? Well, first of all, if Lincoln Riley wanted to bring in Jordan Addison, which he probably does, most people would, the best way to do it wouldn't be to go and tamper and give him a call. Like Caleb Williams, his quarterback, has a pre-existing relationship because they both grew up in the D.C. area, played in the 7-on-7 circuit and all that kind of stuff. So the best way to do it would be for a player to call a player and like, hey, Jordan, you want to come to USC? It's like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. And they can do that before entering the portal. Lincoln Riley's not supposed to tell Caleb Williams to do that, but the most sense, what it would make the most sense, the most common sense thing would be for Caleb Williams to give Jordan Addison a call. So the tampering stuff just doesn't, it's not logical because it wouldn't be the best way to get a guy like Jordan Addison. The other thing is, if you look on the Jordan Addison side, why would you want to enter the portal? You won the Biletnikoff. Well, you did lose your quarterback who left for greener pastures, got drafted in the NFL, and is going to make a lot of money. You lost your wide receivers coach, your position coach. He's left for another team, going to make a lot of money. Your offensive coordinator, same thing, left for another team to make a lot of money. So the people around you that really helped you win the Biletnikoff, catch 100 balls and all of that, almost 1,600 yards, they're all gone. So in this day and age of potential free agency in college football, it would just make a lot of sense for you to want to go into the transfer portal. There was not like Jordan Addison wasn't thinking about this, and the only reason he was going to leave is because Lincoln Riley called him and was tampering. Like, that's the sort of narrative out there that, woe is me, the smaller program is in trouble here. It doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense to me. That's not the most logical thing that would happen. The most logical thing is you lost all that support staff, and like, oh, I could probably make some money somewhere else, and I could go to a better situation and play my final year and then go on to the NFL. And where would you want to go in a situation like that? Well, yeah, he was throwing with Bryce Young when he was out here in L.A. Alabama would be a pretty good spot. Texas is after him. That, hey, Sark's a great play caller and all that. Lincoln Riley and the Heisman trophies and the college football playoff appearances, and Caleb Williams, like your childhood friend, who's going to be a potential Heisman winning quarterback at USC. All of that just makes sense. Do you need to tamper to do something like that? No, it's just logical that Jordan Addison would want to look at USC. The aspect of getting paid millions of dollars, potentially that could happen. USC has been behind the curve as far as NIL stuff goes. They don't have a collective yet out there. They already lost Josh Connerly, the top offensive tackle for the class of 2022, that they had a big lead for, and everyone made crystal balls to pick USC. When Oregon comes in with what was reported as a big NIL package, that's great. Oregon got their stuff together, and they put NIL deals together, and that worked for Josh Connerly. USC's lost players because of NIL. They're not getting them because of NIL. They're getting them because there's huge advantages of being in Los Angeles. You look at the Lakers. You look at the Rams. Like, they can sign premier free agents. They can get Jalen Ramsey to come in. They can get Anthony Davis to come in. When if you're the Utah Utes, I mean, you're the Utah Jazz in the NBA, really well-run organization, but they got to kind of build it through the draft. You're the Green Bay Packers, same sort of thing. It's hard to get free agents to go there. You lose guys like Devontae Adams because it's not necessarily a great destination, even though it's really well-run. But there's an advantage to being in LA. People want to come to the glitz and the glamour and the entertainment capital of the world, and the sun and the sand and all of that. Go to the mountains, Disneyland. We've seen that. Lincoln Riley's talked about that his family loves being in LA. So there's advantages to doing that. Now, will USC get their act together and get collectives going and all that? Probably. But until that happens, they're better equipped to sort of withstand this NIL stuff without being, having a great package put together or great organization put together from collective-wise, because it's still going to be a destination and an attractive destination. Even though they were 4-8 last year, they're selling the hope of Lincoln Riley and going back to the college football playoff and winning championships. USC's still the 900-pound gorilla on the West Coast, but there's no, it's like the Alabama and the SEC, but there's no at Georgia. There's no Florida. There's no LSU. There's none of that. And, Oregon's good, and like Stanford's been good, and Washington's been pretty good, and UCLA's got potential, but USC's still the brand. And when they get their act together, which means hiring a great head coach like Lincoln Riley, they can be the Death Star on the West Coast, and they can be that attractive thing that players want to go and play. So I think USC will get it together as far as collective goes. But if you're believing the tampering stuff, if you're believing the $3 million, that's just bunk. Like that's not the reality. That's a Pitt staff that's scorned because of this. And Pitt has USC's former starting quarterback, Keaton Slovis, there. And Pat Narduzzi tweeted that he came the right way through the portal. What's the right way? You want to leave for greener pastures, and you go to the portal and you get recruited. Like, that's how things work nowadays. And I'm sorry, but USC is a better place to be than Pitt for a lot of places. And I grew up in the Pittsburgh area. I love it there. But I live in LA. I don't live in Pittsburgh. And if you're Jordan Addison and you want to have a huge year, you could potentially have a big year still at Pitt. Keaton Slovis throwing you football and all that. But you lost everybody that was around you. You're going to go to a proven coach that his offensive system is amazing. They put up a ton of points. You got a great quarterback already. It just makes sense. If you went to Alabama and you're going to play with Bryce Young, they lost some wide receivers. You could potentially win a national championship. You have a Heisman Trophy, quarterback throwing the ball to you. All of that makes more sense than just staying at Pitt. So I'm sorry that's the case, but that's really what's going on here. So that's kind of my rant of what's going on. And the one real thing, if USC doesn't get Jordan Addison to come, to USC and play with Caleb Williams next year, the likely reason is probably because someone else, like in Alabama, put a big NIL package together that was a better deal. Now, you could want to go to Alabama over USC for sure, but I think part of it's going to be that there'll be a better NIL deal that's put in place. USC just isn't there yet. They can get there, but they're not there right now. So the whole $3 million thing, the tampering thing, I don't believe any of that stuff. So sorry, you can call me like a USC homer or whatever. I'm just telling you like it is. It's common sense. And the common sense thing is, and I'm seeing some national reporters talking about this. People just want to believe what's out there. My buddy Andy Staples did a show recently and was talking about a tweet from I think it was from a Texas reporter saying that the University of Texas put a $3 million package together for a Cincinnati defensive player. I think it was a defensive lineman or something. And people went off on it. The player that they named was a Cincinnati Bengals player. It wasn't a Cincinnati Bearcats player. So people you can throw something out there and people want to believe it no matter how reputable or not reputable the source is. Don't believe everything you're reading out there. All those multi-million-dollar deals, I'm sure there's some of them, but I think a lot of it, they're just throwing numbers out there because that's what's and people want to get behind it and say, oh, it's ruining college football and all that. So don't believe everything you read right away and just kind of follow the breadcrumbs. What makes sense? It would make sense for Jordan Addison to want to play at USC without tampering and without millions of dollars being exchanged. All right, I'm off my soapbox now. So please go over to our Inside Troy YouTube channel, subscribe, and like it over there. Like this video. We appreciate that. Go to uscfootball.com. If you're not a subscriber, put it down for $1, and get there, and you can get your first month for 99 cents plus one. So that's going to wrap things up. I am Ryan Abraham. Hope you enjoyed my little rant and this Trojan update.